Welcome to Module 3 of the Amazing Selling Machine. So here is the final hurdle you need to cross until you're ready to apply everything Jason and I have learned about building and marketing a successful Amazon business. Because Module 3 is all about finding you a supplier and getting your first amount of inventory on the way to Amazon's fulfillment warehouses so you can start getting sales and really building your business. So you've already set up your Seller Central account. You've already found some product opportunities. Now all you really have to do is find a supplier and then you're in the game, which is what this is all about. I mean, we spent 2 weeks getting you this far. This is another week, but there's a lot to do here when you're first getting started. In the future, when you're doing this stuff, you'll be able to compress all of these activities so far into literally a matter of days. But right now, it being your first time for a lot of you all, we're walking you through this step by step, giving you bits and pieces of training information along the way while you're taking action, breaking the cycle of getting information, taking some action, getting some information, taking some action. And this is really the final step to really building your Amazon business, because after this, after you find a supplier and start ordering some inventory, we're going to start pounding you with information on how to optimize your product listing, which is module 4, and then how to really market and sell your Amazon products with stuff that we don't reveal to anybody else. What has allowed Jason and I to do so well on Amazon, and all that's in module 5, along with releasing all the awesome tools you're going to get access to. So a few first things first. First off, make sure you've done the Opportunity Finder badge verification that's in Module 2. All you have to do is go into Module 2, look for Opportunity Finder badge, and you'll find that lesson there. You can watch the video and then go ahead and submit that verification, because that allows us to track and make sure we know you are following along, lets us know that you're taking action. It gives you the badge and it lets us know that everyone is on track and really building this business, because if we don't get that verification, we assume that you haven't done it, which means that we're going to start following up with you and really trying to make sure if there's any sort of issues going on, and just kind of want to avoid that if you've already done this. So just go ahead and do that if you haven't done it already. Also, the live event registration link has gone live. Now, depending when you watch this video, it may be closed if you check this in a couple weeks. But as of right now, when the Module 3 is actually being released, you'll see in the top left of your ASM Central login area where you're watching this video right now, a link to go register for the live event. So make sure you go do that. So the focus of Module 3. Module 3 teaches you how to find and get set up with suppliers for the product opportunities you found. We're going to teach you how to get set up with how to find domestic suppliers, how to find overseas suppliers, and how to get set up with both of them. That's what Module 3 is all about. You also learn how to get your product label and packaging designed. It's very easy, very inexpensive. It's a lot of times the suppliers will actually do it for you, but that's obviously a necessary step of placing your first inventory order, which is the last thing we do in Module 3. This is absolutely critical. This really separates the people who are taking action versus the people who are getting information, because now it's time to order a very minimal amount of inventory, but get some inventory on the way to FBA, so then in Module 4, or maybe even before Module 4, you can start getting sales, because we're going to teach you how to completely optimize your Amazon listing in Module 4, and then Module 5 is where we really take your results through the roof and change your business, financial, personal life, literally for the rest of your life. So Module 3, a few tips for success. This is a more intensive module. We told you back in Module 1 that we're going to be building the intensity along the way. Here's where we really start ramping that up. There's a lot to do here. You need to find a supplier, you need to talk with those suppliers, you need to compare suppliers, you need to pick your one product opportunity that you're going to run with, and then you need to order your first bit of inventory. Now, it's a lot to do. You can actually do it fairly quickly if you work hard, but it's obviously ramping up the intensity. So you really need to focus on taking action fast. So that's very important. And it's kind of tough to cover every supplier product situation, because depending on the supplier, depending on where the supplier is located, depending on what product you're ordering, there are different labeling needs, design needs, packaging needs, ordering requirements. You'll, trust me, be able to navigate all of this in no time. It's not going to be a big problem, but from a training perspective, it's tough to create training tailored to every single little situation that you may encounter. So a few ways of helping yourself get through those things is, first off, use the Module 3 forum topics. These are already live inside of the forum. Just click the community link from ASM Central and you'll scroll down and you'll see the Module 3 forum topics. So depending on what you need help with, go ahead, start posting in there. Start posting questions if you need help, or start posting tips and findings if you start learning things along the way. Or I know some people in this membership are already extremely knowledgeable about different things related to sourcing products, evaluating brands, overseas suppliers. Go ahead and start posting that information in there, or start posting questions, and this is going to be a ton of interaction to help everyone learn as fast as possible. So get as much information possible from suppliers. You may have a lot of questions for us related to specific product situations, labeling requirements, design requirements. Honestly, the best source of information for those kind of questions are going to come specifically from the suppliers, because suppliers are required to know that sort of information. So you want to ask them what needs to be on the label. You want to ask them what are the label design specs, which we'll talk a little bit about in a future video in this lesson, in this module. But you want to make sure you're getting as much information as possible from suppliers. You can actually learn quite a bit from them, even ones that you end up not buying from. This is why another reason why you'll learn that I recommend jumping on the phone with suppliers if possible. Not always possible, not always desired, but if possible, because you can learn so much from them, even if they're not the ones that you end up buying from. Also, with this being an intensive module, you have to take a lot of action. You have to start taking a little bit of risk here and there, ordering a little bit of inventory. Don't be afraid to fail or take risks. Sometimes you may call a supplier and maybe an awkward interaction. Don't worry about that. We've all been there. We've all been new at something, and we've all, just talked to people that it just didn't work out so well. Don't be afraid to do that. It's not a big deal. Trust me, just do it, learn something, move on. Do it, learn something, move on. That's really it. And you'll be looking back, remember, at the end of this 8 weeks, and be absolutely blown away by your progress. But that means that you can't wait until the 8th week to start taking action. It means that you need to do it right now. Find your supplier, pick your product, order your inventory, and keep moving with this business model so you can build an amazing business like the one Jason and I have. And everything is really going to start coming together after this, because you've had to set up Seller Central, you've had to find some products, you've had to find a supplier, now you have to place an inventory order, but then everything's really going to start coming together. And in some sense, it's actually going to be simpler from here on out, because you'll already have your product, and then you'll be able to do most of your work within Amazon, within our tools that we're going to provide you in Module 5, because it's all really on the marketing and promotion side. All you have to do at that point, make sure you keep your product inventory in stock and apply everything you learn about marketing and promotion for Amazon to keep rapidly increasing your results. And at that point, you're really going to start becoming an expert in your own right and selling on Amazon. So here's what to do right after this welcome video for Module 3. First off, make sure you've done your Opportunity Finder badge verification. Second, make sure you register for the live event if you plan on coming. Remember, if you don't plan on coming, don't really worry about it, because you'll have live streaming of the event and video recordings available for you. We really hope to see you there, so if you want to come, click the registration link. If you can't come, don't worry, we'll have live streaming and video recordings of the event for you. And then get ready to cross the final hurdle to building your real business with Amazon. Finding a supplier, placing your initial inventory order, it may seem a little, difficult at first, but trust me, you'll get through it. And this is really the final hurdle to building your real business selling products on Amazon, because after this, it's pretty much all promotion, which is stuff that you can literally do for the most part just sitting in front of your computer and applying what we teach you and using the tools we give you. So this module, Module 3, really the final hurdle, and then after that, you're really going to start ramping up results, start getting sales, and really start having a ton of fun with this business. So buckle up and get ready for Module 3. So now that you've identified 3 product opportunities, it's time to find suppliers for those products. Now this doesn't have to be difficult. It's really just a matter of literally doing a Google search, and I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that.
one thing to keep in mind is that suppliers are notoriously bad at marketing. So while if you're, just a consumer searching for something on Google, you may never dig past the first page. But if you want to find great suppliers, sometimes you may have to dig 2, 3, 4 pages deep and to find those really good suppliers that you're going to work with for a long time.
So now it's time to teach you the easiest way to find suppliers for just about any product you find on Amazon, just called the Google search method. So here's what it is. You can find 99% of suppliers by just searching on Google. No need to dig through outdated supplier directories. Believe me, I've wasted a bunch of time there. I've been to trade shows, all kinds of things. Searching on Google is by far the easiest and the fastest way to find suppliers for just about any product out there. You could save tons of time also by learning a few Google search tricks. Now, most of us as consumers just go on Google and just type in a keyword and we see what pops up. If we don't like what it pops up, we start modifying our searches and keep to refine our results based off of different keywords. But if you're not familiar with this, there are a few tricks you can use that'll help you a ton in searching for suppliers on Google. So here they are. First one is searching for exact phrases in Google. Put quotation marks around keywords. All you're doing is literally putting quotation marks around whatever keyword it is that you're searching for. This will pull up sites with that exact phrase in it, versus if you just put in a generic keyword with no quotes, especially if it's multiple words, the results can kind of be all over the place. So an example of this is if you search for blue aluminum widgets inside of quotes, that's going to miss pages that refer to blue plastic widgets. The good thing about this is if you're specifically looking for blue aluminum widgets, you're going to exclude all the blue plastic widget stuff, which is great. It's going to help your searching for suppliers be a lot faster and be a lot more targeted towards exactly what you're looking for. Now I'm going to walk you through examples, a live example of how all this is going to work. So don't worry too much if you're not quite understanding this. Depending on your experience, you're going to see exactly how this is done. So the second Google search trick is use the 3 main supplier search phrases. The first one is the product keyword and then the keyword private label. So for example, if your main product keyword that you found in your product opportunities database is blue widget, that's the product you want to find how to source, that's the product you want to find a supplier for, all you do is search in Google for blue widget and then the keyword private label. That's not going to just find you blue widgets selling retail, it's now going to find you private label suppliers. The second one is the product keyword, then supplier. So then you'd search on Google for blue widget, then supplier. And in case you haven't noticed, the keywords on the right, they do not include the brackets. Brackets just to let you know that that's where the product keyword plugs in. You don't actually put in brackets when you're searching on Google. You just put in the keyword and then the modifier, which, it's private label, then supplier, then the third one is wholesale. So the third supplier search phrase is product keyword, then wholesale. For example, if your product is blue widget, you search for blue widget wholesale. A tip for this is you're going to kind of want to play around with this to see what pops up because suppliers are not that good at getting themselves found in Google. So you may want to try putting the product keyword in quotation marks to get that exact phrase. So you put the product keyword in quotation marks and then private label and then supplier and then wholesale. That'll get you different results than if you don't put it in quotes. So you're kind of combining these multiple tricks. So the third trick is exclude sites that clutter up results. This is extremely important. So you can use a modifier such as you include just the minus sign and then site colon whatever the website is .com to exclude a site from search results. Now below this video, I'm going to provide you an extremely easy way to do this. So don't worry if this is a little confusing. This is a little more advanced. So an example is this is your actual search phrase you're looking for on Google. Blue widget supplier minus site colon facebook.com. What that's going to pull up is all the blue widget supplier results, just results that show up for that keyword, excluding any facebook.com listings, which is actually one of the ones you'll want to include when you're searching for suppliers, because sometimes you'll get weird Facebook listings that show up. You're not going to find any suppliers by searching on Facebook. That's just going to be a waste of your time. So I'm going to include below this video a bunch of other sites you want to exclude just to really speed up your finding suppliers process. So these are the 3 tricks you really want to pay attention to and you want to use to your advantage to speed up the process of finding suppliers. So another tip is if you only want local suppliers, include this in your Google search. Minus site colon Alibaba.com, minus site colon AliExpress.com, minus site colon DHgate.com. Once again, this will all be below the video, but these, we're including specific training on how to find suppliers using sites like Alibaba.com, which are great for finding suppliers. It's just a different sort of animal when you start sourcing products overseas. But depending on the product you're selling, you may want to go overseas. We'll include more about that in another video, but for right now, it's ideal to find a domestic supplier first, but it's not a necessity by any means. But if you want to, this can kind of help excluding those international supplying sites from your searches just for when you're getting started. So here's what we're going to do right now. Open up your product opportunity spreadsheet from Module 2. You should have 15 to 20 product opportunities and 3 of your top ones that you pulled out. So you're going to pick one of your 3 top product opportunities right now, and then you're going to follow along as I search for a supplier using the Google search method, and we're going to go do that right now. So as you can see, I have my Amazon potential opportunities spreadsheet pulled up, and here are the 3 product opportunities I have highlighted. So these are the 3 ones that I'm going to search for. So I'm just going to pick the first one, olive oil sprayer. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go over to the URL you pulled, and I'm just going to right click, open a new tab. You could just click and open it either way, but you're just going to go ahead and open that so you have this open. So this is the Misto Gourmet Olive Oil Sprayer. And by the way, this thing is still crushing it, number 16 in kitchen and dining. So just one out of the millions of products on Amazon. So the main keyword we want to start looking for is olive oil sprayer. So that's what I'm going to start looking for suppliers using those search phrases. So I'm just going to go over to google.com. This is Chrome, so I should have just could have just typed it in there, but just to make it very straightforward, google.com, they have some crazy logo like usual here, but either way, olive oil sprayer, and then I'm going to include private label. Let's see what pops up. So as you can see, I've already been kind of looking around at these things. First off, you'll notice that there's an Amazon listing. I'm not buying it wholesale from Amazon. There's this site. We could check that out in a minute. Then there's, privatelabeltrader.com. That could be okay. Alibaba.com. Fine Italian Food. So this is actually selling actual olive oil. So these are just a few other things that you see popping up here. Now we could just start digging through pages, but the thing is we want to be as efficient as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and modify this search phrase to first off, put this in quotes. I don't really want to be seeing sites where I can buy, the actual food item of olive oil. I have no interest in doing that. So I'm going to put that in quotes. And then I'm also going to, you'll see this below the video, but I just have it in a text document, all these sites I want to exclude. So you can copy them from below this video, or I'm just going to plug them in here because I already have them in a text document. So all I'm doing is I'm excluding Alibaba.com for now. We're going to cover that in another video, but for now I'd recommend excluding it. Excluding Alibaba.com, excluding Facebook, excluding Nextag, excluding Blogspot.com. There's a lot of little sort of spammy sites thrown up with Blogspot.com that are not going to find you reputable suppliers. Excluding the Find.com. All that is a site that pulls a bunch of data from other sites, and it's not really a supplier resource in and of itself. Excluding bizrate.com, which is kind of the same deal. Excluding amazon.com. So once I plug that in there, after my just basic keyword that I have here, olive oil sprayer private label, then I'm going to click search. As you can tell, very different results, but a little bit cleaner results. So I could start searching for these things and start seeing what pops up. So let's check out a few of these. So I'm just gonna pull up the first 3 and we'll keep going. See, as you can see, there's multiple sites here, allproducts.com, lots of allproducts.com. So if you end up finding out, for example, like allproducts.com is not what you want, then all you have to do is go over here, click minus site allproducts allproducts.com and then press enter, and then all of a sudden there's no allproducts.com. So just a tip you can use as we go along. So I'm just going to go ahead and see what pops up here. So I open this one site, Shop at Home Shopping Network, not the best site I've ever seen. Amazon's price. So this looks like an Amazon affiliate site. Not something good. So we're going to go ahead and close this. Not something you want. So here's another site. It's oliveoil.deskmarketing.com. Probably not another reputable site. This is another Amazon affiliate site. So we're going to close that. And then we're going to keep looking. Allproducts.com, it's a big database of products and suppliers. Stainless steel olive oil sprayer, that may be what I'm looking for, so this could be a potential resource. So we're going to scroll down, could keep looking through these, but we'll see what this is here. So send inquiry, this could be an option. So whenever you find something that could be an option, what you're going to do is just go over to your spreadsheet. And depending on what you're using, Microsoft Excel, you can use it in a whole nother spreadsheet. You can put this in a Word document, do whatever you want. But I'm just using Google Docs still. So all I'm going to do is add a new spreadsheet here. So once I have my new spreadsheet, all I'm going to do is, just to keep things clean, I'm just going to rename this olive oil sprayer. And then I'm going to put here, this is the olive oil sprayer supplier, so olive oil sprayer suppliers. And we'll put potential suppliers. And we'll go ahead and put that there. And then, so here we go. Supplier website. That's all you really need to put in there for right now. You'll learn in the future videos how exactly you want to go about contacting suppliers, evaluating suppliers, and so forth. But we'll go ahead and put that in there. So we have supplier website number 1. So that's cool. So we got one supplier there. Now one thing is that you start searching through this stuff, like I'm not getting that good of results. Shopzilla is another site we can exclude. This could be okay. Let's go ahead and check out this one. So this is just another sort of listing of sites, could be okay, but it's still not finding exactly what I was looking for. So whenever this happens, go back and think, is this, first off, you can search for, instead of private label, you could search for supplier, or you could switch that out for wholesale. But as you can imagine, I've already done a little looking around. So the lesson I want you to learn is that go back to the product you're looking for. How else could you find this thing? How else would a supplier of a generic version of this product be selling it? The thing that stood out to me, and that sort of I had a epiphany while I was looking for this product, is start thinking about other ways the supplier might present this product. One way for this product is, instead of it being an olive oil sprayer, I mean, it's basically an aluminum bottle that sprays out a liquid, or sprays out, obviously a thick liquid because it's olive oil. So let's look for something a little different. This is aluminum, so this is, it says satin finish aluminum. So what I'm going to do over here is, instead of this, I'm going to type in aluminum spray bottle wholesale, or let's just go ahead and swap that out with supplier. See what pops up. Here we go. As you can tell, I've already checked out some of these. Let's take a look at these ones. Now remember what we were finding before. We were kind of digging around, results were okay. We might be able to keep digging through pages and pages and finding other suppliers. But let's see what we find here. So this first one, not so good. Possibly could find some sources, but these are obviously overseas suppliers, so you'll learn more about sourcing overseas in a future video. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that aside for now. Now here we go. Here's this. So if you check out what this says right here, now it may be a bit small for you, but it says, for those interested in making their own toiletries, not only do we have all the ingredients and supplies you need, we also have containers for the finished products. For example, our aluminum spray bottles are a great container to package your homemade toiletry products. If you make perfume or body sprays, these bottles are the perfect containers. We offer them in packs of 10 at only 69 cents a piece. So we know you won't get a better deal anywhere. Check out this. This thing is selling at $9.99. We can get these bottles 69 cents a piece. Now, we all know we're going to have to add a few things here, do some private labeling, but we're starting off pretty good here. So if we scroll down and we want to check these out, we'll go ahead and open this bottles, and then we'll scroll down and check out, let's look for the closures. Here we go, sprayers. So as we can see, we're looking at the bottles. We want to check out aluminum bottles. And we can see that we have multiple sizes of aluminum bottles. Could definitely work as olive oil sprayers. Would need to call them and find out, but don't worry about that right now. We're going to cover that in a future video. So then we have sprayers. They seem to have the cap. So they have general bottles and sprayers that could possibly work. We're not 100% sure whether these will work exactly for olive oil, but it's something we can call and these people will know. So right now, don't worry too much about that. All we're doing is gathering a list of suppliers to contact. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these people, and that's good. So then I'll go ahead and close all that suppliers tabs. Kind of look through some more here. Aluminum bottles on thomasnet.com. We'll see what that is. Aluminumbottles.com. It's a whole nother one. So this is another one, not super helpful. These are a whole bunch of other suppliers, so you can start checking out all these people actually. So for example, aluminumbottles.com, this is just a supplier directory, so these are perfectly fine to use too once you've done the searches. If you're just going to randomly looking at supplier directories, you're going to waste a lot of time, but this is specifically for this, so they've already kind of done all the work for us. So here's another one, aluminumbottles.com. So as you can see, a bunch of aluminum bottles. This is another good supplier to contact. So go ahead and grab them, plug them in there, and that's that. So what you want to do is you want to gather about 5 suppliers, 5 potential suppliers for all 3 of your products. So I've only done 1. So as you can see here, I have 3 other ones. I have a silicone spatula, speed jump rope. So right now I have 3 suppliers. I would want another one and another one. And then I would go ahead and add a couple more tabs down here, or you could do it however you want. Like I said, you could do it in a Word document, you could do it in a separate spreadsheet. Either way, you just want to stay organized. And I would create a separate tab for silicone spatula, separate tab for speed jump rope to gather suppliers for those. Remember, you want to have plenty of options. Don't worry about how you're going to evaluate these suppliers or anything like that right now for this specific step. Just gather the suppliers and watch the rest of the videos, and you'll learn exactly how to contact these people, and you'll also have this video to go back to as a resource in case you need to find more suppliers.
In this video, I'm going to cover how I personally use Alibaba to source products to sell on Amazon. Now, if you're not familiar with Alibaba, basically it's a third-party website, completely independent of anything we do or Amazon or any service like that. But it's a directory that allows for product vendors to be, and manufacturers and suppliers to be able to interact and get in contact with people that are interested in selling their products. It's a huge database, and this site itself has been around for quite some time. Now, there are people that do feel a little ambivalent about using a service like Alibaba because it deals with a lot of foreign countries such as China and other countries like that, where people feel a little intimidated to start doing business with them. But I can assure you that Alibaba is a fantastic resource. They have a lot of checks and balances in place to make sure that all their suppliers are verified. Now, with that being said, I won't hit on this long, but just so you know, it is up to you to have due diligence in place. And essentially what that means is at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own business. So you need to ensure that you are doing the checks and balances needed to ensure that you're working with reputable companies and that you know how things work. And with that being said, what I recommend you do before you do anything else on Alibaba is you go to their help section, and then I recommend you go to safety and security area. And you just want to go through and understand and make sure that any of your concerns are addressed. You can enter in a question here, or you can simply just look through things. You can see even in their popular tips, how do I know if a supplier is reliable, signs of online scams, be cautious of gold suppliers. All these different things are really important information to familiarize yourself with. Now, there's also just the main home help section, which also has a lot of great information. But above anything else, make sure you've just gone through the safety and security area and just got answers to any of the questions that are concerning you. Because I truly endorse Alibaba.com, but there might be things that you're a little ambivalent about, and I promise you they probably have an answer for you. And if you follow the advice I give you for using this service, you shouldn't have any issues. So when you're getting started with Alibaba, You're obviously going to go to Alibaba.com. You're going to need to create an account. And by creating an account, that will allow you to get in contact with their suppliers. Now, there's different ways to start using Alibaba. Essentially, all I do is I just go to advanced search. You don't even have to go there. I just do. I only select products, and then I don't pick anything else except exact match. And then I enter my keyword. So in this example, we're going to stick with the silicone spatula example that we've used a few times. And then I click search. Now, that other criteria you saw in there, countries and everything, I don't worry about that initially. I want to see as many product suppliers as possible. So now you can see I've got over 8,000 products and 450 suppliers. What I want to do now is I want to start sorting these by these criteria here. Now, what you can do, and you notice there's region, country, and then sort by, and you've got gold supplier, on-site checked, assessed supplier, and escrow. I don't do anything with escrow personally. I'm not saying you don't want to use it. It's a safe way to be able to use their payment process. I personally do not have experience using it yet, so I cannot recommend it. However, these three criteria, in my opinion, are extremely important. And what they do is they help to ensure that the company you're dealing with through Alibaba is more than likely a pretty reputable company. Now, what you can do is when you click on them, you'll see these icons show up here, and then you can click on those icons. You can see, for example, this is a gold supplier, meaning they've paid a membership to Alibaba, who they're serious about doing business. And I like this part. They've been authenticated and verified by a reputable third-party security service provider. You've also got this thing where it's the supplier assessment. This is an on-site check. This is new by Alibaba. And basically what it does is they've verified that the contact information is true and they've actually contacted the manufacturer or the business. Then you also have this one, which is the supplier assessment, which really, in my opinion, is a huge one. It provides you knowledge to source with confidence because it contains an assessment made by one of our third-party inspection companies and are available for download. So as you can see here, for this company here, I can download these assessments. And this really, in my opinion, is really powerful if you have any hesitations, because it's really, they've gone through the paces to ensure that they're verified. And if they've gone through those extra steps, you pretty much can be feeling pretty safe that they're a good company to work with. Now, there's other things that are really important to understand here too. And this comes down to understanding the product and the type of situations that product, that you might be held accountable for. Now, for example, anything to do with cooking and spatulas, I'm personally going to want to make sure that it's FDA certified if I'm selling it in the States. So you're going to want to select certain certifications. Now, again, this is only relevant to certain products, but you're going to want to know this. And so for me, I want to ensure, for example, if I'm going to use a silicone spatula, that the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, they have certification for that. So I'm going to click on that. And that's going to start sorting things even less. So I know now all these products state that they're FDA certified, which is really powerful, really, important for me, especially if I'm going to be trying to sell in the United States. You'll notice up here order quantity and whether they're online. I don't enter anything in the order quantity because these numbers that they give here, where it shows you the minimum order that you can order, this is actually negotiable. And I'll explain that to you more in a moment. But whether they're online, this just simply means that if they're online, meaning the supplier itself is online, so you can chat with them. But as you can see here, 9 times out of 10, they're not, because they work in a completely different time zone than I do here in the Eastern time. So now I start looking at the products, and you're going to have to look at each one and look for the products that make sense for you. So when you click on that, you see, okay, this is what those spatulas look like. But remember, they're only showing you one product there. Usually they have a lot more products, and so you're going to want to scroll down and start reading things, understanding what they have. You're going to want to go through the quick details, and you're going to want to make sure again that you've done a little bit of homework. For example, if you're just looking for spatulas, ensure that you've gone to Amazon and you've looked at what the other products are. This sometimes helps to look at their negative reviews too, to understand if there's anything. For example, they might say, oh, it's not dishwasher safe. And you can see here quick details. Well, yes, this is in fact dishwasher safe. It's high heat resistance. So it's good to know the features that you're actually looking for. You're going to want to then click on contact details. And you can see how you can contact this supplier. But what I like to do is I like to look at the company contact information and look to see if they have their own website. I'll then just visit the website, look around, and try to get a good feel to see if this is actually a real company. But the other thing is you can see here, you get to see all their different products that they have available. And by looking at these, you might come up with better ideas than your initial product idea. You'll notice that if they don't have a website, they might just have a website on Alibaba, which is basically just an Alibaba page where they show you some extra information. What you can also do as well is on the initial product page here, you'll see here where it shows online showroom. So you can click there and look at all the different products that they have as well. So you can see this company has loads and loads of products, but we're going to look here, silicone spatula, and you can see all the different types of silicone spatulas that they have. So once you look at a company, and if it looks like a good company, that potentially a good one to use, what I do is I don't start contacting yet. I actually click on the compare. And I make sure that every one I look at, you can click it here and it always opens in a new window, which is good. And I go through that process for all of them. I make sure that everything looks good. I feel comfortable with it. It looks like a solid option. And then I'll go back, and if I like it, I'll click compare. So I'll go through and I'll look at, as many as I can until I get a good solid list. And you don't want to cut yourself short on here if you're really serious about moving forward with a specific product. You're going to want to go through and get as many as possible, because some of them are going to not respond. Some of them will not work with you on prices or work with you on minimum order quantities. So the more you can contact, the better. But you obviously don't want to be wasting anybody's time by not doing your initial checking to ensure that they actually have products that you want to sell. So I'm just going to compare a few of them here. Click this compare. And so then once you have 20 picked, and I don't know if you've noticed that, but when I click on that, you can see you can select up to 20 to compare. I'll then click on this little compare button that comes up. So for example, when I click on one of these, you'll see it says now compare. If you click on that, a new page is going to come up that's going to allow you to look at them. So what I start doing, I want to now compare prices and look at ones that look really, really good. Now you can select all and then contact supplier here if you want, but I like to just double check things, and I want to make sure price wise things are looking good. And in my opinion, the $1 to $1.50, $1 to $2, those are all solid prices, and you're going to want to get as many quotes as you possibly can. So if everything looks good here and you're ready to move forward and you think everything is solid, then what you're going to do is you're going to click contact supplier. So as you can see, I can now contact them all through one email. Now this is where it's really important that you're very clear and concise. Now remember, if they're selling, if you're looking for a product that's only $1.50, don't bother asking for 10 minimum order when they're telling you that it needs to be 4,000. Try to be realistic here and look at things. For example, if they're giving you 4,000 as a minimum order quantity, perhaps you could get 500. Don't try to go too low, because they won't even respond to you. They'll take you as someone who's not serious. So you definitely want to ensure that when you're communicating with them, you're communicating with them not all as one message to everyone, but to everyone getting the message that they specifically need. So what I mean, for example, is I would not just now send a message to all of these people. If my request was to try to get much less than what their minimum inventory is. What I would do instead is contact them each individually. And the reason for that is, for example, this person here, you can see a great price, 49 cents. They might be super cheap, 5,000 pieces. Well, if I can get it for 49 cents, but they might sell me the initial for of 1,000 pieces, that's only $490 compared to, twice as much with these others. So I'm going to want to contact them individually. And I recommend that when you contact them, you actually look at their information, be educated on what they offer, and craft up an email according to that. So for this, I would make an email something that is, hello, my name is Jason Katzenbach, and I'm contacting you on behalf of my company. We are selling on Amazon.com, and we are looking at expanding our product set to include your spatulas. We do, however, have a concern with starting with 5,000 pieces. We are very aggressive wanting to move forward. However, we would like to see if you would be willing to work with us to start at a lower piece count, say of 1,000 units initially. Please contact us at your earliest convenience, and we will check back often. Looking forward to hearing from you, Jason Katzenbach. Now, that's just an example email that I actually just took off the top of my head, but it's pretty much in line with what I would send. And the whole idea here, again, is sound professional. Make sure you're representing yourself well, spell check things, proper capitalization, all those kind of things, and speak exactly to them what they want, what you need from them. Now, another important thing to note here, however, is that when working with Alibaba, I found that two things happen. Number one is you have to contact them more than once sometimes. I've sat there and I've contacted them and waited and nothing happened. And then I went in and contacted them a second time, this time with a better email and a follow-up. And I quickly got a response from almost all of them, well, actually about 50% of them, within the next 48 hours. So you're going to want to make sure you're following up with them. This also proves that you're a serious contender here, that you're a serious prospect for them. You want to make sure you come across with authority. You want to make sure you come across with experience. Now, a lot of you obviously have no experience sourcing products, but they don't know that. So if you can come across speaking in terms that makes them feel comfortable like you're an expert already, that helps a lot. And a lot of that comes by really ensuring that you understand what they're offering, what they've already stated. So again, don't ask them, and what's your price, do you sell for less than $1 or whatever when they're giving you their prices right here? Make sure, you say, I saw that your minimum order quantity was 5,000. Would you be, able to lower it to this? You really want to make sure that you're communicating to them so they've seen that you've taken the time to research them, understand who they are. And that way, again, it'll be a real vote of confidence for them towards you that you're someone serious they should be dealing with. When you come in here, you're going to see the messages. Now, if you have messages waiting, and I'm going to recommend that you check in here, don't wait to receive emails via your email, because I have ran into that issue too, where my emails were actually going into my spam folder. I didn't know people were responding when they actually were. So you're going to want to come in here and check frequently. And you're going to go into the messages, and it'll show you messages from them. Make sure, this is something that I learned the hard way, you respond as soon as possible. If they sent you a response and all of a sudden a week later you say, oh, sorry, I've been busy, I'll get back to you soon, they're not going to take you serious. Again, you need to come across with a very serious presence here. That means quick responses, full, well thought out responses. Don't be rude or belligerent. Treat them with respect, and the favor will be returned back on you. And then from that point forward, once you have, you've pinpointed and you've come down to the specific supplier that has the best price and everything, you're going to start working with them individually. And I don't use Alibaba at all once I actually actually have the supplier. Everything is done outside of Alibaba. We speak via email and Skype, so everything is clear that way. And they actually have phone numbers where you can call them and contact with them. But remember that a lot of these suppliers, especially when you're using China and all that, they have very poor English, meaning that even their communications with you will be oftentimes all in lowercase letters, not properly formatted and everything. Don't take that as a free pass to be able to, reciprocate that. Meaning, don't think that, you can just throw emails together to give back to them. Always be professional in your communications. Believe me, it helps tremendously. So essentially, that's it for using Alibaba. There's no other real secrets. That's essentially how I used it with great success so far. I recommend you give it a try. It's a fantastic resource, and hope you've enjoyed this training.
Hey everybody, Matt and Jason here. So we wanted to shoot this live Google Hangout for you. You're just going to see it as a recorded video. There's no audience on here. But we wanted to shoot this video for you because we believe that there's a few other things we wanted to touch on in Module 3 about sourcing overseas. That's why the title of this video is Sourcing from China in 3 Easy Steps. Because we include a lot of content. We include the webinar we did with Josh and Matt all about sourcing from China, but we don't want you to feel like this is some massive burden that is going to take you forever to get over. It's not that big of a deal. Even though I'd sold physical products for 3 years, 4 years, until I'd ever sourced anything from overseas, I thought sourcing from overseas after selling my own physical products for 3 years was the craziest thing on the planet. I was like, how can you get products all the way from China over to here? I was like, how do you communicate with them? How do you order products? How do you handle quality control? How do you do any of that stuff? It just blew my mind. But then, just like everything else, once I did it once, it's extremely easy to do, just like anything else. It's not really that much different than ordering domestically. So that's why this video is sourcing from China in 3 easy steps. Because we are going to have 3 steps we're going to go over. And we're also going to tell you a little bit about a trip we took with 30 people over to China, where we actually visited factories face-to-face, talked with manufacturers, saw products on their shelves, even saw some products, don't tell Amazon this, but we saw some products for Amazon being printed up, like packages for some Amazon's own products at some of the manufacturers. An amazing experience, amazing trip, and it really taught us a lot about what it's really like to source products from overseas. You do not have to go to China. We have lots of amazing Selling Machine members that have never sold a single physical product before, that have sourced products from China and from other countries without any problems. They just went through the steps that are in this module, and they didn't even have access to this video that you're watching right now. We're just shooting this to help you jump over the hurdles just a little bit quicker, because we don't want this to be a big hang-up for you. We want you to get your product, get it sourced, and get it selling, which is what modules 4, 5, and 6 are all about. We want you to get through this as quickly as possible. So like I said, this video is sourcing from China in 3 easy steps. The first step, which Jason will talk about here in just a second, is go to Alibaba. So Jason, you want to explain a little bit about that first step.
Sure. Now, with Alibaba, basically what it is just a search engine for products that are available to be sourced from China. Now, not 100% of the products on Alibaba, and there is a video, there's a training video I made that's specifically on Alibaba. But just so you know, it's a search engine that has a database of these sites. And something important to understand is that oftentimes the listings that you go on and the contacts that you make through Alibaba are not actually directly with the manufacturer. They're more or less a sales rep, an in-between person that will be your point of contact for that. So you're going to have to be able to communicate with them knowing that. But I need to let you know it is so easy. I was the exact same as Matt when I started. When I started thinking about China, I'm like, oh, you just put all of these burdens on your mind as to the complexities that this is going to be, and it's really simple. Use Alibaba, follow the training that I have in this module, and just understand that you're doing it just to find manufacturers. And then once you find the manufacturers, you're just going to be communicating with them. In fact, on week 2's coaching call, we had Janae Knight on there who, if you were on that call, you heard she started right away with China manufacturers, and her advice to you was to make sure, you don't, and we're going to get into this, but when you contact them, just contact them via email. That's all she was doing. So don't worry that you have to get on the phone. Sometimes you might. But with using Alibaba, go through the training I provide, find the manufacturers. You'll be amazed at how many products are available out there. And then just start reaching out to them, contacting them. Something to really stand out though with this, when you're using Alibaba, you got to make sure that you follow up with these manufacturers. Something to remember, they're constantly getting queries all the time. So as I pointed out in the training, make sure you contact them from a very professional standpoint. Don't come across like you have no clue what you're doing. Don't have all these open-ended questions for them. That's something that's serious about this business should already know. Make sure you really research what it is you're going to be going into, have specifics to contact them with, and approach them from a professional standpoint. Approach them like you know what you're talking about. You're ready to do business. I want to hear from you. And then follow up with them, because some of them might not respond to you right away because they get hammered with requests. Don't be afraid. Every day, send a follow-up. Say, hey, I sent you this email the other day. Can you please respond? I'm looking to understand more about this product. But really, that's it. Alibaba.com. It's a great site to get started on. Absolutely, when your business starts to grow, there'll be other more advanced ways you can do, and that's something that me and Matt will talk about in later modules for you, maybe at the live event. But for right now, Alibaba is a fantastic place to get started. Very easy. You just follow the training I presented, and it works fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alibaba, if you don't know, this is a multi-billion-dollar business. They're a massive business. They have real physical offices in China. I mean, they're a good, legitimate business. So that's your first step in sourcing from China. Just go to Alibaba. Step number 2 is to get a sample. Now, depending on where you're located, this shouldn't be an issue, really. It's just a matter of getting a product shipped from China is likely where you're going to be sourcing from to wherever it is that you're located. But you really want to get a sample, because the thing is like they can say something on their website. They can say that the product is some certain quality. You can see a picture of the product, but that still may not really indicate the quality of the product. And you want to be able to assess the quality before the product gets shipped to Amazon, because if it gets shipped to Amazon and it's a bad product, not really a good situation to be in. So step number 2 is to get a sample sent to you. Now, some suppliers are going to try to charge you quite a bit of money to get a sample. Where the unit may end up costing you only $1 or $2, they may try to charge you $30 for a sample plus shipping. You have a couple options. One, you can just pay it. It's just the cost of doing business, not a bad option. Or number 2, and it's probably something you should do either way, is to tell them, like, look, I am not some person who's just trying to get a free sample. I am here to do big business. I'll be ordering thousands of units from you. I just want a sample, and I don't feel like paying this exorbitant cost. You could try to go that route first. Not a bad idea. May work, may not. Either way, you're going to need a sample. But that's one way to save a little bit of money. So I don't know if you have any additional.
Yeah, one thing to note too on that, if, say at the end of the day, they're like, no, it's $30, like it or not, well, then what you can do is at least negotiate, and this is 100% worked for me, because they'll often offer this, but not always, is tell them, okay, but then I want that price off of my order price, meaning that if I spend $50, when I order, that $50 is put towards that. They'll often do that. And the big thing is, don't, like, when Janae was on that interview, she said that, like, don't be intimidated by them. You need to ask, and that's something really to take heart here, is don't be afraid to ask. Don't let them just tell you and then like accept it and say, okay, I guess it's this much. The bottom line is they're salespeople trying to make as much money as possible out of this, and they're going to be open for negotiations. So don't be afraid to try to ask to lower the price.
Yeah, and so from their perspective, what they're trying to prevent against is people just, which happens all day long to them, all day long for them, is that people are going to Alibaba, people are finding them, and people are just trying to get either free samples, or they're really trying to purchase the product retail, but they're like, wait a minute, if I go to Alibaba and tell this person I'm a person who wants to buy this product wholesale, then I'm going to get a sample of this product for $3 or for free. So they're trying to prevent all those people. And so you just want to let them know that you're a person who's ready to run and already is running a legitimate business. You're going to be purchasing big quantities, and you are the person that they really want to give samples to, or at least give them at a good price, and not those other people. So it's just a matter of them trying to sort that out while you're only communicating with them via email. So just from their perspective, that's kind of what they're preventing.
And just so you know, again, I'm located in Canada. I sell on Amazon.com, well, on Amazon.uk as well, but the stuff that I sold from China, I only am currently selling on Amazon.com. And what I did is I just had them send the sample to me, and I cannot emphasize enough, a lot of you are thinking, well, I shouldn't assume, but some of you might be thinking, well, that's an extra cost. Couldn't I just send directly to Amazon? And you don't want to do that. We were blown away by the difference in quality. We found like just little things like the thickness, anything like that could be a huge disaster for your product if you don't take the time to do it. Because at the end of the day, the people that are selling you the product just want to get the product sold. There's no guarantee that they're going to be upfront and honest with you, or they just might not know any better. So by getting the sample, then at least that way you can touch it with your hand and verify. And it's, if it's going to cost you $30, in my opinion, it's money well spent, because then you're that much more guaranteed to have control onto exactly what it is you're going to be selling.
Absolutely. So step number 1, go to Alibaba. Step number 2, get a sample of your product. Step number 3 is to place your order. Now, when coming with place your order, you're obviously going to start out, don't try to start off purchasing thousands of units. There's no reason to. Start off with whatever you're comfortable with. But step 3 is place your order. Something to note about this is that a lot of times suppliers out there will have what they call MOQs, or minimum order quantities. What this means is this is a quantity the supplier has posted on Alibaba or anywhere else that says, if you don't order this quantity, you can't order from us. Sometimes it'll be 1,000 units, sometimes it'll be 3,000 units, 5,000 units. Those are really there to deter those people I was just talking about, those people that are just sitting there trying to get free stuff, or people that are never going to do big business and are going to be more of a hassle to that supplier than a big asset, a big client. You fall into the other category. You're going to be a great client for the supplier, and so you want to let them know, be like, look, I'm not going to order 3,000 units to start out with you. I'm going to order a couple hundred, or I'm going to order 500, or whatever it is. And once I get this order, everything looks good, the quality's good, not just on the sample, but on these other products that I ordered from you, and everything goes smooth, the payment goes through, I get my product. This is a growing business relationship. Once all that happens, then I'm going to be ramping up, selling thousands and thousands of units a day. But if you don't work with me on this initial order, then I'm going to have to look somewhere else. And you should be looking at multiple suppliers to begin with, just so you have backup options if nothing else. So don't be turned off by those minimum order quantities. They are completely negotiable, regardless of whether or not you've ever bought from the supplier or not.
Absolutely. And yeah, I can't emphasize enough too, don't get lazy with the whole thing about finding multiple suppliers. It gives you huge leverage to be able to negotiate with different manufacturers. And oftentimes, it can make the huge difference between being super profitable and breaking even right out of the gate. One of the big things too to understand when you're placing the order, as Matt mentioned earlier, there's different ways to be able to get your product sent over here. You can have it, air, you can have it by boat. The easiest way to do it is simply to use DHL. You'll hear people, like, this is one of those things that have been roadblocks for many people. They'll hear rumors, oh, you need to have a freight forwarder. They say you have to have a freight forwarder. DHL takes care of all that stuff. So when you order your product, it's going to have to be shipped. So for example, you order your sample or you send your product to Amazon. Our recommendation is your number one choice is to use DHL. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, first of all, ask the manufacturer themselves to give you a quote on what the shipping will be, because most of them have DHL accounts, and the way their accounts work in China, they usually get preferred rates. So you can get things very cheap, and DHL takes care of all of those things like customs and everything, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And you can easily get your product shipped. By the time they ship it out, it'll arrive in the US within a couple of days, sometimes quicker. If they do not have their own DHL account, then you'll want to look into trying to get your own DHL account and get the price going that way. But the first step I recommend is negotiate with the manufacturer, try to be able to get the best price possible, and get the included price of shipping added into there to see what, and ask them for a breakdown of what the cost is with shipping and without shipping. And just use DHL. I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Matt?
No. I think we're good. So is there anything else you want to cover before I wrap up these 3 steps again?
Nope.
All right, perfect. So 3 easy steps to sourcing from China. First, go to Alibaba. Second, get a sample. Third, place an order. So like anything else, the first time you do it, it's going to be a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. There's still going to be some questions in the back of your head. It's fine. Just plow through it, go through it. Once you've done it once, you'll be good to go. So that's all I have, unless you have anything else, Jason. But we'll see you all in the next video. So now that you've gathered suppliers for each of your 3 main product opportunities, it's time to start contacting them. Remember, right now we're still getting you in the game. You've set up your Seller Central account, you've found a product or multiple products, and now you're contacting suppliers. Once you do this, and once you pick your product and go with it and get your inventory on the way to Amazon, then it's time to apply all the awesome stuff we're going to be teaching you in Module 4 and Module 5 about how to start getting tons of sales for your product. So here we go, contacting suppliers. Supplier contacting tips, what you want to learn when you contact a supplier, how to get set up with the supplier, and action time. So supplier contacting tips. First off, you can use email to contact suppliers, but contacting by phone is best to build a relationship with them. Now, if you're using overseas suppliers, email may be the only option, but for domestic suppliers, contacting by phone is honestly best because you can start building a relationship. It's easier to gather information. It's easier to let them know you're a real person because you took the extra step of picking up the phone rather than just firing off a bunch of mass emails to suppliers. They know you're a more serious person. So yeah, email can be used, but phone is best when available. So you really only need one supplier. You have multiple supplier options, and you're going to be contacting multiple suppliers, but don't get overwhelmed. You really only need one good supplier. If you find one good supplier, everything seems to be perfect. Just feel free to run with that. I mean, it's really all about getting started because you can always switch suppliers later, assuming they all have the same kind of product. But having multiple supplier options is ideal no matter what phase of this business you're in. So, big thing is to come across as professional. If you haven't done this thing before, it may seem a little awkward and that sort of thing, but you still want to come across as professional. You're a professional entrepreneur. You know what you're doing. You're going through this training course. These are just people on the other end of the phone that are dealing with other people all day long. These suppliers really need your business. You're their customer. Feel free to let them know that you're a professional entrepreneur. You just want to order their products and do business with them. That's it. Even if you've never done this before, make sure you come across as a professional. So what you want to learn when you contact a supplier. First off, do they have or can they get the product you want? You found a specific product on Amazon, a product opportunity that you want to pursue. You want to find out and make sure, even though you found the supplier because you were looking for suppliers that meet that product opportunity, you want to first call them and find out to make sure that they have the type of product you're looking for. Or if they can get it. If they don't have it and they can't get it, you may ask them if they know anybody else that do. But first off, find out if they can get the product or if they already have it. Then ask, are they able to label your product with your own brand? If it's a company that just makes their own brand and doesn't private label for anybody else, then not really worth your time. So you want to find out and make sure that they're able to put your own label on the product or your own packaging with the product. Then you want to find out, how does the private custom labeling process work with them? It's going to be a little bit different with each brand. You just want to, or with each supplier. So you want to ask them how that process works with them. Also, what are the price tiers for ordering the product? This is a big and a very important question to ask. They may want you to sign up with them first as a supplier before they give you a price sheet, but you still want to find out as soon as possible what are the price tiers for ordering the products. Meaning, if you're ordering X quantity, what's the price? If you order more than that quantity, what's the price? You sort of want to find those things out as soon as possible because that's going to let you know whether it's a good supplier worth pursuing. And then you don't want to come right out of the gate asking, what's the minimum order quantity? Minimum order quantity means the smallest amount of inventory you can order to to even work with that supplier. You don't want to ask that right out of the gate because then they'll think you're a small player. They'll think, oh, this person is just trying to order the minimum. You don't want them to feel that way because that's not true. You're somebody, yeah, you're just getting started like anybody else. Tell them you're testing them out. That's a good way to put them on their toes, is you're testing them out as a supplier to see if they're good enough for you. You obviously want to be nice and professional, don't necessarily want to say it like that, but that's the sort of presence you want to come across with. So ask them what their price tiers are. Do they have a price sheet? You want to let them know that you're going to plan on ramping this business up very, very fast, ordering more and more of this product, and you want to know what your pricing is going to be. And through all this, you'll discover what the minimum order quantity is. So then also ask them what's the estimated time until the product is ready to ship. Meaning, if you send them your custom labeling, or if they do their own custom labeling, how long is it going to be before the product is ready to ship? And then ask them if there's any way to speed that process up. Some suppliers, it may only be a couple days. Some suppliers, it may take a couple weeks for the products to be ready. Any longer than that, you should probably start pursuing other products because it's not like you're doing a custom product here. Custom products can take, up to 8 weeks or even longer. But just putting your label on an existing product that they already have shouldn't take more than a couple weeks, max. Ideally, it takes, a week or so, but I tend to really push these suppliers, but a couple weeks max is really all it should take, which is perfectly fine because, as far as following the Amazing Selling Machine training, is because next week you're going to be learning all about how to optimize your Amazon product listing, and you can do all that while you're waiting for inventory, so don't worry too much about that. So yeah, you want to ask them what the estimated time is until the product is ready to ship. And then lastly, you want to ask them how you get set up to start buying products from them. So here's how to get set up with a supplier. First off, ask them the setup process. You'll likely need to fill out some different forms with them. It's pretty standard supplier stuff. And then, they may ask you with a reseller license. Jason and I have never actually had to get a reseller license. You shouldn't need to either. Even if they ask you for one, you can either tell them you just don't have one, or there'll likely just be a form with some more information on it. You just fill out your own information. Obviously, you don't want to fabricate or lie about anything, but fill out the form, send the form back to them, and just leave anything blank that says anything about a reseller license, and you should be fine. I've done this multiple times. It's never been a problem, so don't worry too much about it if they ask you for something like that. So then you're obviously going to want to figure out your payment method. Are you going to pay with a credit card, with a debit card, or any other method? Most suppliers are likely not going to take something like PayPal, so credit card or debit card is generally going to be the best way. Possibly a check, possibly a wire transfer. You're kind of going to need to figure that out with the supplier, and you're likely going to have to pay ahead of time. Most likely, suppliers, when you're first getting set up, are not going to take like a net 30 payment. So then you're going to need to figure out the product and packaging design specifications, unless they'll do that for you. Some companies that do private labeling for generic products, they'll do the design for you. So you can basically just tell them what you want on there, and they'll put it on there. But if they don't do that, you're going to want to make sure you get the product and packaging design specifications so you can send those off to a designer, which is covered in another video. So you just want to get the specifications. What file type, what image file type, what size of image, do they have a template? Ideally, you want to get a template and or examples of other design files, other graphic design files for that product. That's what you really want. If they don't have it, just ask them all the other information you'll need to design packaging or labels for the product. Then go ahead and get the design done and send those design files in the format necessary back to the supplier. They'll tell you about what all that is, but you're getting the design done and sending it to the supplier. Then just wait for the supplier to prepare the product. You've ordered the product, you've sent the design files, now you're just waiting for the supplier to actually prepare the product for shipment. And the final step is to send the supplier the FBA shipment items, covered in another video, but basically you're just sending the supplier a packing slip to go inside the box and a shipping label to go on the outside of the box so that they can send your units off to FBA, and so that they're not doing any fulfillment, you're not having to get anybody else to do any fulfillment, and it'll all be very, very easy, and we'll give you instructions on exactly what to tell the supplier for that. So here's action time. Go ahead, start contacting the suppliers in your list. Phone is best, but you can also use email. It'll feel a little awkward the first time. This is perfectly normal. Anytime you do something new, it feels a little awkward because you don't know the right words to say. You don't know the best way to go about things. They may ask you questions you don't know the answer to. No problem. This is all perfectly normal. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and get started. So write down the information you gather for each supplier. Write down all the information that I told you to ask in this video. You may want to pause this video, go back, make sure you have all that information. Go ahead and write that information down for each supplier so you're able to compare suppliers versus each other and also suppliers so you can gather that information and compare it for different product opportunities so you can really pick the best product opportunity for you to run with in these next modules.
Okay, this video is going to be about the email and website quick setup. Now, this is not required, but it can help you with some suppliers. It can also make you appear more professional, which is obviously something that suppliers like to see. It is easy to do and relatively inexpensive. And lastly, you can then use that domain later for your business website if you wish, and I'll show you how to set up a quick holding website. Now, the simple steps required are as follows. We are going to register our domain name. We're going to set up the hosting account. We're going to connect that domain name to that hosting account. We're then going to set up our domain email. And finally, I'm going to show you how to set up a simple website. Before I open my browser and take you through setting all this up, just want to talk briefly about the domain name. If you have an idea or already know what your business name will be, then use that by all means. Or just use your name or a made-up business name. It is not critical right now. Basically, we are just doing this to give us a domain email so suppliers realize we are serious. They are not going to start doing background checks and all that kind of thing. The most important thing is to have a domain email. You can get away without having to do this. Many suppliers are happy to reply to a free email address like Google. So by all means, skip this. Start contacting your suppliers, and if you're getting success with them replying to you, you don't need to set this up now. Okay, so let's go to my browser. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to register our domain name. You should have your domain name ready, and the first thing we're going to do is we are going to register for an account with GoDaddy. It's very simple. You just click on register, then click on create my account. You'll get a pop-up window. Now, if you don't already have a GoDaddy account, you just need to click on I'm a new customer. So I'm leaving it I'm a new customer. You just want to enter your email address, and that's your main email address where you get all your normal emails. Your username can be anything you like, password again, anything you like, and then a PIN number. This is just a number in case you need to contact support. It just means you get through to them quicker. So fill out all these details, click on create account, complete setting up your account, and you can go to the next step. And basically all you need to do is log in to GoDaddy, click on domains, and then click on domain search, and then just type your domain name in. Once you've typed it in, click search domain, and as you can see, that domain is available. Now there are coupon codes. If you do a search on Google for coupon codes, you can probably get a few dollars off this. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to bother doing that. Basically, all you need to do is click select and click continue to cart. You don't want to bother with privacy because you're actually quite happy for the people to be able to see who you are. Because remember, this is just about contacting suppliers, and you don't need to worry about anything else. And don't add an email to your domain. You don't need that. And click continue to cart. Okay, you can see this is all $73. Obviously, we don't want that, and the reason for that is the term. Just want to change that to a year. There you go, it's $13. Now, as I say, if you use a coupon code, you can get this cheaper. But for the sake of just doing this video, I'm not going to bother. Then you just click proceed to checkout. Select a method you want to use to pay. I'm just selecting PayPal. You can use your credit card or your debit card. Click place your order. Okay, and then you're done. And basically now they've registered the domain for you. Now it can take a short while before it appears in your account, but all you need to do is click on my account, click manage your domains, and that's your first step done. Your domain's registered. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is actually set up your hosting. I'm using HostGator. For me, they're the best service to use because their support's really good and they're as cheap as anyone else, and they're the biggest guys out there. But again, you can use another host if you want, but obviously we can't do training on every single host out there. So we've picked the most popular. All you need to do is click on view web hosting plans. You can start with a hatchling plan, and basically that means you just get hosting for one domain, and it's the easiest way to get started, and you can always change your plan later to a bigger plan if you want to add more domains. And again, go and look on Google for coupon codes for HostGator. There are tons out there. Again, I'm not going to bother with this one. I'm going to check the monthly button, so I'm basically going to be paying $7 a month. Click order now. Okay, and then you want to select I already own this domain and put your domain in here. Okay, don't register any other domains. It's just HostGator trying to make a bit of extra money. Scroll down. You need to choose a username and again a security pin. Fill out your billing information and payment. Ignore everything else. Now, just one thing to notice here, you'll notice they've automatically checked Add Site Lock and Add Code Guard. You want to remove both of those. And then when you've filled out all the information, scroll to the bottom. And as you can see, the total is going to be $7.52. Now mine's slightly higher because I'm actually registering this from the UK, so it's added VAT. But do note, there's a money back guarantee. Anyway, once you've done all that, you just click Create Account. Okay, in my case, it's taken me to a PayPal button page because I selected PayPal. But basically, you just click on Pay Now or Subscribe, fill out the details, and it will complete your account. And you will then be sent an email to the email address you used with your username and password and other information. Okay, so the email you receive is going to be something like this. Okay, so you're going to need to copy these name servers, name server 1 and name server 2. Then we're going to go back to our domain registrar. You want to click on your domain name. And if you haven't already verified your email, you need to do that. If you didn't receive the email for verification, just click resend email. Okay, so I've just verified my email. Then down here where the name servers are, you just want to click on manage, then click custom, click enter custom name servers. Then you just want to paste in the 2 name servers that you copied from your email. Now your name servers may well be different than this. Don't think that they have to be the same. Once you've done that, just click OK, then click save. And now you've changed your name servers. And what that basically does, it now means that your domain is set up for using with HostGator. Now these name servers can take anything up to 4 hours to resolve. So when you get to this point, I recommend you walk away, go do something else, and then you can come back and complete the setup using HostGator. Okay, so I actually left that for about 3 hours. Basically it allows the name servers to resolve properly. But if you run this URL I'm going to show you now and you get an error message, then it just means it hasn't resolved yet. Just leave it alone and try again in a couple of hours. There's no rush for this. But basically you want to put your domain name /cpanel into your browser URL. Now you can use the one that actually is in the email that gets sent to you, but this is a really quick way of checking that your name servers have resolved. So I'm just going to hit return. There you go, you see it's redirected to the cPanel, and then you just need to enter your username and password that you got in your email, and this is actually called your cPanel dashboard. You can actually check to don't show this again, or you can actually go through it if you want, but all you really need in here is 2 things. First thing we're going to look at is the email accounts. Just scroll down, click on email accounts, and then you put your email in here, and you create an email address, and this could be anything at your domain, so you could use suppliers, or you could use buyer, or you could use your name at, whatever you want really, and then just put a password in. Okay, create account. There you go, you've got an email address, and you can give that to your suppliers, and it just looks a bit more professional. Now the second thing you can do with this, if you go back to the home by clicking on home at the top, scroll down, section, which is where the email accounts was, and look for forwarders, click on that, click on add forwarder, and then you can actually forward all your email from that email to your Gmail account or whatever account it is that you log into every day. And that saves you having to log into this every day. But one word of warning, make sure you don't reply to the forwarded email from your main email account. Just use it as a way of notifying you that you've received an email. Then come and log into your cPanel and go to your email. And I'll show you how to log into that now. But basically you just put in the email address. So mine was suppliers@richiehenderson.com. So I've just put that there. And then you put your main email address in here and click add forwarder. That's all you have to do. Now as for logging in to check your email, they actually provide you with 3 different email clients. I'm going to show you the one I use, but it's totally up to you which one you use. You go to your email accounts, click on the drop down for more, click on access webmail. Okay, it'll automatically log you in, and then you just need to choose from one of the 3 different options it gives you. Personally I like squirrel mail, it's the easiest for me, but you can try these others and see which you prefer. So you just click on it, and there you are, that's your email. Basically it works exactly the same as any other email account. You just have your inbox here, you can send new mails by clicking on compose, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'm just going to log out. So that's how you set up your business email. And don't forget, you can add as many emails as you like in this section, so you're not restricted just to one. Okay, so we've set up our email address, and as I said before, you can set up more than 1 email address. And now I'm just going to show you how to set up a quick holding page for your domain. That is all you really need right now for contacting suppliers. Now in a later module, I'll show you how to set up a full WordPress site, but for now, all you really need to do is this. You just scroll down, you want to click on Legacy File Manager. Now the first time you do this, you're going to get a pop-up window, and at the bottom of that window there are two options, one to show hidden files and one not to show this box again. You want to check both of those and click Continue. But as I have already been in here, this will not show. Now this is actually showing you all the files on your server. And all we're going to do is click on Create a New File. You'll see up here in the top right, you've got a box to put the name in. In that box, you just want to type index.html and click Create. You've now got an index page. Now that is going to be blank at the moment, so you want to click on it by actually clicking on the link itself. Then up here in the right, you want to click on Edit File. Scroll down in that window, click on Edit. Now as you see, it's completely blank. All we're going to put in here is a short message. So all I'm going to put in here is, we are currently rebuilding our site. Please come back later. If you need to contact us, you can do so at contact@yourdomain.com. You can create a new email for this, or you can just use the email that you've just created. Now that's all you really need to put in here, but if you want to elaborate, use your own wording, make it longer, then that's great. And if you've got a HTML editor, you can actually modify this. You can bold sections, use italic, whatever you like, different sizes. But this is all we need right now. And then you just click on Save Changes. You can close it. And then if we visit our domain, you can see that the message appears right here. And in fact, as you can see, it's all come out on one line. We don't particularly want that. So I'm going to go back to the cPanel. I'm going to click on the index.html link again. I'm going to click on Edit File. I'm going to scroll down, click on Edit again. And the only difference this time is I'm going to put in the code for a new paragraph. It's just going to make it look a little bit prettier, even though it's still very, very basic. Close it. If we go back now and refresh, you'll see it appears on different lines. And that's all you really need, because essentially if a supplier comes and visits your site, they're going to see, oh, well, he's rebuilding his site at the moment and we've got his contact address. So they know your website exists, and again, it's just making it look a little bit more professional. But that's all you really need to do. As I've said, if you've got a HTML editor and you're happy doing all kinds of editing, then by all means, make this a little bit more elaborate, use different fonts, whatever you want. But essentially, all you need is this. So that's it for these two videos on registering your domain, getting a domain email address, and setting up a quick holding page for your domain. But that's it, so take care.
So in this video, you're going to learn how to use the profit calculator tool. Now, if you're, talking to suppliers, evaluating products and that sort of thing, you want to get a good idea of how much money you'll be able to make per unit. Now, once you start ramping up volume, some of these figures are going to change because you'll be getting better prices on products and that sort of thing, and possibly even reducing shipping costs per unit. So a lot of this may change, but this will help you get a basic calculation. So first off, I'm just going to run through the calculator and touch on a few things as I go through. So we're going to say, one of the examples I've given is an iPhone 5 case. Now I'm just going to make up numbers. None of this stuff is real, but it's just to show you how to use this tool. So let's say we're selling this product for $25. Maybe a little high, but whatever. Like I said, these are made up numbers. $25. Then you select the general product category. Just pick the one that, is the biggest, broadest level category. For example, this one could be consumer electronics or electronics accessories most likely. But if you ever don't find anything that really applies, you can always do any other products. What this is doing is this is obviously picking the category that you want to sell in, but then it's calculating this, the Amazon selling fee. So what this is for most categories, it's going to be 15% times the selling price. Now, some products are a little bit higher. For example, if you're selling Kindle accessories, I believe it's 20 or 25%. But if you're selling some other products, it may be as low as 8%. So this automatically calculates that. And then it calculates what's called a variable closing fee. You don't have much say over this. This is just another small fee that you get charged. So the next field down here is your cost of goods sold. That's what COGS stands for, cost of goods sold. All we're putting in here is your unit cost. So, for example, these products may only cost you, let's say, $4 per unit. This is just whatever the unit cost is because we'll include things such as inbound shipping costs, packaging and labeling here. So this is just the per unit cost. Now say, this is all per unit, just one unit of this product. So if you get quoted like maybe $50 to get, 10 of these created or something like that, you obviously just have to do the division to get one unit. So then packaging and labeling, if you didn't include that in your unit cost, you don't have to. Obviously, it's just another figure. But if you've broken that out separately, some manufacturers will, some manufacturers won't. If it's broken out separately, then you put that here. Let's say maybe that costs an extra 50 cents. And the FBA labeling service, if you remember in the video, I've recommended just to go ahead and use it just so you don't have to mess with it. So you're going to go ahead and click yes. But if you're not using that, you click no. So if you add yes, then it automatically adds that 20 cents per item. Inbound shipping costs, say for example, if you ordered, just to make the numbers easy, if you ordered 10 of these and your shipping cost was $20. So it's $2 per unit. So you just put that in there, $2 per unit. Now, if you're ordering overseas, just include all of your costs incurred along the way, whether that's, you having to use a shipping company, if you're ordering bigger quantities, or maybe some other figures, there may be some tax, import duties, custom duties, any of those kind of figures, just divide those by the number of units you ordered and put that in here. Then the product weight in pounds, if it's a light product like this, maybe it's only 0.2. This doesn't have to be exact, but the big thing is that if you start selling a heavy product, that will affect this. But pretty much anything under a pound is not going to make that much of a difference. But when you start getting a pound and above, you're going to want to make sure you have a somewhat accurate figure in here. This doesn't have to be perfect, but it just gives you a general idea. So then once you have those figures in there, as you can see that these ones are grayed out, so there's nothing to do here. And you click calculate, and it's already got these figures in here. So your FBA fulfillment fees based off of your product weight in pounds, per unit $2.46. Your net profit per unit sold, $11.59. Net profit margin, 46%. That's just taking your $11.59 and dividing it by your product selling price. So this gives you a general idea of how much you would make if somebody orders one unit from you. Now, if somebody orders multiple units, which applies more to some products than others, some products people order 2, 3, 4, 5 at a time, just depending on the type of product you're selling, then these numbers are obviously going to be different. We didn't build every possible thing into this calculator. This is just to give you a general idea of how much money you can expect to make per unit sold, from Amazon. So, for example, if you're selling multiple units, then your shipping cost is not going to be as big of a factor relative to how much you're bringing in, just because they're all getting shipped in the same package. But this is per individual unit that you sell, shipping. A customer orders one unit from you. This is roughly how much money you're going to make. So it's a good calculator for you. You can use this when evaluating suppliers or picking different product opportunities for yourself.
So now you've done your supplier research and data gathering. So you have all the available information you really need to make a decision on which one product you want to run with. Now through the rest of this training, you're going to want to apply everything you're learning to that one product so you get the experience under your belt. It doesn't have to be the perfect product that you stick with for the rest of your life, although it very well may be. But once you learn how this works, you can apply this process to whatever products you want. So a few ways you can pick which product to stick with if you have multiple opportunities. For example, if all three of them look good, first thing is the margins you can make, obviously the amount of money you can make. So if you find out that like one product you can make 50%, another one you can make 80% per sale, maybe that's a better way to go. Second thing to think about is how big the opportunity is on Amazon. One has a bigger opportunity, everything else is equal, you obviously want to go with that one. Third thing to think about, which is really, you should have discovered this during your supplier research, is what sort of capital is needed to get into the product. One product may have a minimum order quantity by the best supplier you found, meaning the minimum number of units you have to order to even get in the game with that product may be too high for you to get started right now based off your existing cash flow and financial situation. Maybe a good product to pursue down the road, but right now it just doesn't make sense. So that's your third thing to consider. So like I said, you're really going to want to fully apply this, everything you learn in the rest of the training, to that one product, and then you can go back and apply it to whatever products you want. So next we're going to talk about everything that's involved with setting up that one product on Amazon for maximum sales. Then one thing to look forward to is in Module 5, you're really going to learn how to get some serious traffic and sales going to that product.
So now that you have one product that you're ready to run with for the rest of this training, really until you get to Module 7, because Module 7 and Module 8 is where we talk about expanding your Amazon business, and then at that point you can decide whether you want to pursue a different opportunity, keep building out this one, build out different markets, and all that sort of thing. But right now you really only need one good product, which you already have, and that you're going to run with, really, so you can start applying all the really awesome promotional stuff you're going to be learning in Modules 4, Modules 5, and Module 6 to really take your results through the roof and start getting a ton of sales in for your Amazon business. So now we're going to pick a product name and a brand name for your product. So choosing a brand name is what we're going to start with because it's kind of the bigger picture, I guess. So first off, don't try to be perfect. You can actually change your brand name anytime you want. You can change it down the road. I'm talking about inside your actual Amazon Seller Central account for that product. You can change your brand name whenever you want. Obviously, if you get your brand name printed on labels on your products, you can't change that until you order a new batch of your products. But if it's just swapping out a brand name, it's real easy to change. So, a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to come up with the perfect brand name. Not a big deal. Your results are going to come more from the marketing you do outside of picking a brand name, the marketing you do for targeting keywords and what you do outside of Amazon and all the cool stuff we're going to be teaching you. So don't try to be perfect by picking a brand name just for your product. Pick something that fits your market. I mean, this is obvious. You don't want to come way out of left field with something that's completely unrelated to your market. Look at what the other products currently have. Pick something that really kind of fits with your market that's going to resonate with your audience. And so ideally, pick something with a domain available. You don't by any means need to go buy the domain right now. You can if you want, but you don't need to whatsoever. Just go over to GoDaddy.com. If you have a brand name idea, type it in there and see if the .com is available. Ideally, you want it to be so that you can use it in the future. So you kind of want to come up with something unique that hasn't really been used before. That's ideal. Not a complete necessity, but that's kind of what you're looking for. I know when I'm coming up with new brand names, that's one of the first things I go do is see if the brand name is available because that's going to help you with branding later on. So you want something that fits your market, you want a domain available, and don't try to be perfect. And you can also do a quick Amazon search for your brand name and just type in your brand name idea literally into Amazon search bar to see if anybody's already taken it or is already using it. And you can also do a trademark search. I've included the link below to do a trademark search. Always a good idea to go do a quick trademark search if you're going to be selling in the US. So like I said, I mean, you don't have to be perfect with this. I'm not going to go into 72 videos on how to pick the world's best brand name and all that sort of stuff because honestly, it's not going to be a massive contributor to your success on Amazon. So just pick a brand name and run with it, assuming it meets those few criteria in the previous slide. So now you're going to choose a product name. This is actually going to show up on your product label and packaging. That's the main place you'll see this, is whenever you're getting your product label and packaging design, your product name is likely going to be on there so people know exactly what it is. But something interesting is that your product name may not even show up on your Amazon listing if you don't want it to. Now, I'll cover this in detail in Module 4, the next module coming up, but this is why your product name is another thing that does not have to be perfect. You don't have to have the world's greatest product name because it may not even show up on your Amazon listing. It's really just going to go on your product label and packaging. So don't, spend a whole lot of time trying to come up with something extremely unique or anything like that, or something that's, like the next Google or anything like that. Don't worry about doing that. Just come up with a decent product name, matches your market. Pick something that resonates with your audience once again. You want something that will relate to your audience, something that's, sort of something they would expect. You don't want to come way out of left field. You don't want them guessing what your product is. You want it to be something that they would expect and that they easily know exactly what your product is. And another big tip is you want to try to include your main keywords in your product name. If possible, include your main keyword, likely just going to be one, possibly multiple ones, but likely just one in your product name. This will help you with a few things on Amazon. It's not a necessity, but it is ideal, and it also makes sure that you're picking a product name that resonates with your audience, because your audience is already searching for that keyword. So that's what they're looking for when they're looking to find a product that serves whatever purpose your product serves. So if you use it as kind of a rule of thumb to include your main keyword in your product name, by nature, you would have picked a product name that's going to match what your audience is looking for. Good tip. So another thing is, don't try to be perfect. Once again, as with the brand name, you don't have to have the world's greatest product name. You'll actually be able to change it whenever you want on your Amazon listing, and you can even change it on your product label, assuming you've run out of stock of the initial label. So either way, not a huge deal. Pick something that resonates with your audience, something simple, something that includes your main keyword, and get moving. So quick action time. For your one product that you're going to roll with, come up with a brand name using the tips in this video. Then come up with your product name using the tips in this video. And then use these for your product design and packaging. When you start having a designer or the supplier put your product design and packaging together, they're going to need to know this information, and it's going to go along and be part of your design.
So now this video is all about the importance of good product packaging and design. It's absolutely critical to your success on Amazon. So the reason design is so important for your product that you're private labeling, first off, is just your sales on Amazon. Having a better designed product than all of your competition is going to make people want to buy your product, even if it's priced a little higher, as opposed to buying somebody else's for the same exact product, underneath the label. Now, another thing too is repeat buyers. It's not just that initial sale. It's once they receive that product in the mail that they're going to start using it, and they're going to think that, wow, this has great design, great packaging. It must be a higher quality product. I'm hopefully going to use it again, buy it again, and maybe, if they don't use that same product, they buy one of your other products in the future, or they tell their friends about it. So it's those repeat sales you want to think about too. Lastly is perceived value. I'm going to teach you that you can charge a premium price and actually do better than all your competition and make more money in the process. But to do that, part of that is having a higher perceived value, and a lot of that comes from good packaging and design. So one thing to think about is you not only need good design, but you also need to think about creating a brand. Not just something you're going to sell for a little bit, but a real brand, a real sustainable brand. So the first thing you're going to do is you obviously need to come up with a name for your product and a name for the manufacturer of the product. These can pretty much be completely made up. You obviously cannot use any sort of trademark. So we're going to give you a resource on this video page that shows you how to look up to see if there's any sort of trademark or patent on the product that you're selling, but then also the brand name. Secondly, you want to make sure that your brand name and product name resonate with your audience. Also, you want to make sure the design resonates with your audience. So for example, if you're selling men's razors, you obviously don't want them to be pink. So you need to have that in mind. Who's going to be your target audience, and what would they expect to see? What would they like to see in a product packaging and design? And lastly, you need to think about differentiation. If you look at Amazon listings, or even your local store, but we're talking about selling on Amazon. If you look at your Amazon listings, think about what you like, what you don't like, about the different listings, and what could really set yourself apart without, alienating your audience, but make yourself look different, make yourself stand out. It's incredibly important with getting more sales on Amazon and building a good long-term sustainable product brand. So for a private label product, you're not having to do any sort of product design or any of that sort of stuff. So getting your actual design created is actually pretty easy, because for the most part, it's a matter of getting a label designed or, some simple product packaging. So to get that done, the first thing you should check with is to see if the company that's supplying you the product already does that themselves. They may offer you design services, sometimes even for free. They may or may not be the best designers, but it's something worth checking on and worth trying out to start out with. Or if you need to hire your own designer and you either can't do it yourself or don't have somebody in-house currently, you can use simple sites such as elance.com and odes.com. And on this video page, I'm actually going to provide you a sample job ad that you could sort of use to help yourself hire somebody that can do this sort of design work for you. Another good site to check out is 99designs.com. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, most likely, than hiring a designer from Elance or Odesk, but it's another good option. You can sort of tap into that whole crowdsourcing model where you have a whole bunch of people creating designs and you pretty much pick which one you want. So a few key things to include on your label are, first off, your brand name and logo. In the process of getting your design created, you should also consider getting a logo created for your brand for this product, just to make it look more professional, but also for future products you create under the same brand. So you obviously want your brand name and logo on your product. You also want your product name. You also want to think about any sort of required information that maybe you have to have on your product. This could be warning labels, that sort of thing. Best way to figure that sort of stuff out, look at what your competitor's doing and also talk with your supplier. Obviously not a lawyer, can't provide legal advice, but that's really going to be your best bet, finding out what sort of information you have to have on your label. Another thing to think about, it's also a requirement in some markets, but it's a good thing to have on there anyways in case people have questions, and following up good customer service is to have contact information. You can have a business name and address, you can have a phone number, you can have a website URL, those sort of things. It's good to have some way for users of your product to contact you. Another thing to think about that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to product packaging and design is, on your design, you want to reiterate the main benefits of your product, why people should be using it to begin with, and what differentiates you from everyone else. Because even though they may have already bought the product, you want to sell them on the idea of using it so that they get value out of it and hopefully either buy another one or tell somebody else to, or they buy one of your other products. Big thing to think about is, like, once you get all of this done and ready to go, double check, triple check everything for accuracy, because you don't want to have, thousands of labels printed off or anything like that and turn out, oh crap, there was something wrong with that label. That's not a good situation to be in. A lot of us have been there, so double check, triple check everything on your label for accuracy. And lastly, you're going to want to get feedback. Whether it's friends, family members, you name it, just get their feedback on your product packaging and design, because they're consumers just like you and I are. So get some feedback from them. Don't rely just on yourself, and you should be able to come out of this with a very high quality, differentiated, and well-selling design.
Hi there. In this video, we're going to go over UPCs, barcodes, and a few other types of codes used by Amazon, and how to use those when labeling your products correctly for FBA. The purpose of this lesson is to explain the definitions of and differences between the following types of codes: barcodes, UPCs, ASINs, and FNSKUs. You've probably already heard of one or more of those codes used over the past couple of weeks, but you might not have known what they stood for nor why they're important to you. By the end of this lesson, that should change though. In addition, we're going to show you the easiest way to have your products labeled correctly when sending them to FBA. First one I'll go over is the barcode. And a barcode is simply a way to represent any number in the form of vertical lines of varying thickness. And this code can be scanned in and read using an optical scanner, just like the one at the grocery store. Sometimes people do confuse the term barcode with either UPC or FNSKU, and those are both covered later. But in reality, a barcode can represent either one of those, and actually any type of number. The next we'll go over is UPC. And UPC stands for Universal Product Code, and it's a unique 12-digit number with a barcode that is used to identify any products that are used in trade. Right here is an example of a UPC with its barcode, and that's actually for one of the olive oil sprayers that Matt showed in an earlier video. Most products listed on Amazon do require a UPC code in order to be entered into their system. There are some exceptions to this, but for our purposes, we're always going to use a UPC code. Now the ASIN, that stands for Amazon Standard Identification Number, and every product within each Amazon market has to have one. Now these used to be unique across all different markets, the Amazon.com, Amazon UK, Canada, etc. But those markets have grown so much that one ASIN in one market might be used for a completely different product than another market. There's an example right there. Again, that's for the olive oil sprayer. And you'll see this code in a couple different places. One of them will be in the URL for your product. So if you click on your product, and you look up in your browser, you'll see that code in the URL. And also when you look in your inventory screens, you can see the ASIN code there also. The next code is the FNSKU, and it's a unique identifier used by the Amazon fulfillment centers to identify each product they have. Now, it can also be represented with a barcode so that it can be scanned in at the warehouses. And right there, you'll see an example of an FNSKU sticker. It has the barcode, It has the number, and then it also has an abbreviated version of the name of the product that you're selling. Now, when you're labeling your products for shipment to FBA, the FNSKU label or sticker has to be placed onto your product. Now, let's go over the FBA labeling requirements, because this is sometimes an area of a little bit of concern and confusion for people. In order to use Amazon's FBA service, which we definitely recommend that you do because you will get higher rankings and more sales because of it, your products will need to be labeled appropriately. Now, there are a few different variables involved. The labeling requirements can vary by category, and also the labels can be applied by yourself or by Amazon. But since there are a couple different variables there, we recommend the following strategy that'll make sure you have no issues at all. And so the first step is to incorporate your UPC into the design of your product's packaging. Now, not all products require this. A lot of them do, a lot of them don't, but more and more are being added over time. So it kind of makes sense to go ahead, take that step now, and when you're designing the packaging for your product, just have your designer put your UPC barcode onto the package so that it's always there. Secondly, after you've done that, when you're ready to ship your products to FBA, elect to use Amazon's label service in order to have them print and apply the necessary FNSKU sticker on your product also. Now, this may seem a bit like overkill, but using Amazon's labeling service is only 20 cents per item, and it ensures that you're not going to have any problems at all when using Amazon's FBA service. And later on, once you've been selling for a while and you understand your product categories and the requirements better, you can always contact Amazon to verify exactly whether or not you need the UPC code or whether or not you want them or yourself to apply the FNSKU sticker and make any changes that you want. But we highly recommend using this process for your first product to make sure you have no problems at all.
So now that you've found your product opportunity, you've found a supplier, you've gotten your labeling and packaging designed, now it's time to place your first inventory order. Whenever you're placing your first inventory order, and even at the beginning, even the next couple inventory orders most likely, you're going to want to order the absolute minimum possible. This is to minimize the amount of risk, financial risk, you have to take to get into this product. Now with selling on Amazon, it's a lot different, a lot less risky actually than selling a lot of other places because you've already found this opportunity, so it's selling well. So now you're just tapping into that same exact opportunity and you have a pretty good certainty of doing pretty well yourself, but you still want to minimize your risk. So by doing that, you're ordering less than you may, sell out, fairly quickly. So running out is probably going to happen. You're likely going to run out of inventory, which is perfectly fine at first. Later on, a big part of inventory management is making sure that doesn't happen, but right now you're likely going to run out perfectly fine. It's a good situation. It means you actually sold a lot of those. So next thing you want to think about is you're going to want to know how long it takes your supplier to prepare those products for shipment. If you place an order today, is it going to take them, 1 day to get them ready? Is it going to take 2 weeks, a month? That just sort of helps you plan out your purchasing. And that's another good way to compare suppliers, is how long it's going to take them to move. If one supplier, exact same price as another one, but they can get things ready in a day while the other company takes a month, big thing to consider. So other thing is, cash flow is absolutely critical to this sort of business, because if you purchase your product today, one supplier takes, a month to get it ready, well, your cash is tied up in that. So you want to try to find suppliers that, sort of really minimize the amount of time that they tie up your cash. And it's also something to think about, because if you order today, say it takes them a couple days to prepare your shipment. A couple days, your shipment's prepared, then you ship it off to Amazon using FBA, which we're going to talk about in the next video. And then once it gets to FBA, it may take up to 7 days for your inventory to process. At that point, you'll start receiving revenue in your Amazon Seller Central account. And then whenever your 14-day payout cutoff time, that's when you'll finally receive that money back. So it's something to think about. Another thing, obviously not providing financial advice, but if you're using a credit cards like I do to purchase all my products, those are generally due every 30 days. And if your products may take a couple weeks, you're in a decent cash flow situation there. So lastly is, whenever you're thinking about managing your inventory, ordering products, all that sort of stuff, it's completely your responsibility. It doesn't matter if you have the world's greatest account manager over at your supplier, if you've talked to a really helpful person in Amazon. None of those people are going to help you manage your own inventory. So you're really going to need to take responsibility for that and really be on top of it each and every day, especially while you're building this up. Later on, you may be able to delegate it, or you may have a good feel for what you need to do to keep those products in stock, but initially really need to take some good, hard responsibility. So lastly is, once the opportunity is proven, you've got it up and selling, sales are coming through regularly, you're reordering regularly, then you can start placing bigger inventory orders, which allows you obviously to stay in stock, but more importantly, allows you to make more money. Pretty much every supplier out there is built on the model that if you order a little bit, you get this price. If you order a lot, you get a discounted price. So then you've ordered a lot, you're not really taking that much more risk because you know sales are coming in. So that just means every single unit you sell at that point, you're making more money on. So it's a good situation to be in, but the biggest thing is start small. So one thing that you're going to need to think about now, and that's what this video is all about, is how you're going to get your products, individual units, shipped out to your customers that come and buy your product from Amazon. The way I recommend is you use Amazon's fulfillment system called FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. What this is Amazon has warehouses all over the United States, actually all over the world now, but all over the United States, that they allow you to have inventory shipped to them. They hold it and they store it for you for just a tiny fee, and they hold it and store it for you, so when orders come through Amazon, they automatically get processed out of that inventory. And within Seller Central, it's easy to check how much inventory you have in stock so you know when you need to reorder. The advantages of using this system, first off, is that you get a ranking boost actually. You can literally see if you're not using FBA and doing your own fulfillment, as soon as you turn on FBA, if they receive your inventory and you start using Fulfillment by Amazon, your products will just about instantly move up in ranking. So there's that huge benefit. The other benefit too is automation. You can then focus your time because Amazon's taking care of all your shipping, and they actually pretty much do all of your customer service at that point too. If somebody has a question about their order, it actually gets routed, that question gets routed to Amazon, not you, so you don't ever have to deal with that. Amazon will help track down their order and do all that kind of stuff. So there's a big automation benefit, which allows you to focus on everything else we talk about in this training, including the killer stuff you're going to learn in Module 5 about promoting and getting traffic to your Amazon product. You get to focus on all the marketing while Amazon pretty much runs your entire business operations. Now, you don't have to use FBA. You know, some people, you may already have your own e-commerce store and maybe you're already taking orders and shipping them out of an office, or you have a fulfillment company you're using. So that's perfectly fine. You can use them if you want to, but trust me, there are huge benefits to using FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. It's going to help you boost your rankings and really automate your business so you can focus on the things that help grow it.
So this video is about doing a quick Amazon product listing setup, meaning you're actually adding a new product listing to Amazon via Seller Central, your Seller Central account. So the purpose of this lesson and action step is, first off, to be able to prepare an FBA shipment. To do that, you have to have an Amazon listing. So you've found your supplier. So now you found your supplier and it's time to place your inventory order, your first inventory order. When you do that, and that supplier is ready to ship your inventory to Amazon, you'll need to prepare an FBA shipment, send those PDFs to the supplier. We cover all this in the next video. Send those PDFs to the supplier so that they're able to apply those PDFs. One of them is going to go inside the box, one of them is going to go outside the box, so that those packages go directly to Amazon, directly to Amazon's warehouses, so that the inventory automatically shows up in your account and you can actually start getting sales. But right now, all we're doing is a very quick setup of your Amazon listing, because full listing optimization is covered in detail in Module 4. But you don't need to do that just to get the ball rolling. Remember, we want you moving as fast as possible. We want you getting results as fast as possible. Now, some suppliers, for some people, for some products, may take a couple weeks. A lot of other suppliers may only take a couple days or maybe even one day. Just depends on the product, depends on the supplier, depends on the labeling and packaging. But either way, we want to make sure you're ready as soon as the supplier is basically ready. So right now, you're just going to do a quick listing setup for your Amazon product inside of Seller Central, and then just entering basic information, because you're going to learn exactly how to optimize your product title, how to optimize your product description, how to get good product images. You're going to learn how to do all that stuff in the next module, in module 4. Right now, don't worry about any of that. You're just doing the bare bones to get your product added to Amazon. So for now, you're just going to do a quick setup of your basic Amazon listing. Then in module 4, you're going to go back and edit this product listing and optimize everything. So we're going to fix it all later. Don't worry, everything can be changed. What you do now is not set in stone, so don't worry about that. You're just doing this so that you can prepare your FBA shipment, which is covered in the next video. So now I'm going to jump over to Amazon inside of Seller Central to show you exactly how to do this. So once you're inside of your Seller Central account, all you're going to do is go to Inventory, which is just up here, and then Add Product. So you just click Add Product, and then you'll be on this screen. So then once you're on this screen, all you do is click Create a New Product. Once you do that, you'll be on this screen where you're just picking a category. Now there's no perfect science to this. Really the best way is you want to choose the top level category that you see for the top ranking product that you found, that you're basically creating a similar product of. You just want to choose that same top level category to keep things simple. So say for example, if I want to sell the olive oil sprayer example. So I would just go find that category, which is home and garden first off. So it's home and garden, and then kitchen. So once I go to kitchen, then there's not going to be an olive oil category most likely. So I can look here and I can find something that's closely related, or depending on the top level category, you can get a little lazy and just do something like other kitchen. Ideally, you want to find the exact category, but you don't have to. So depending on the product, you may or may not have an exact category. Not a big deal. Just choose the closest one related to your product. The top level category, you want to keep that the same as the best-selling product that you found that's related to the one that you're going to be selling. Other than that, the subcategory, try to choose something as closely related as possible. If it's not exact, that's perfectly fine. Just find something close enough and click Select. So once you do that, the information you see here will be different depending on the product category. For example, some products have, tons and tons of fields. They literally have about three times this many fields. So you're going to want to go ahead and fill out all that information later on. But right now, all you're going to do is fill out the required information, and it's not even going to be the final information you use. So for the product name, you just enter whatever product name you've come up with. So olive oil sprayer aluminum. Whatever the product title, it doesn't matter. You're going to end up changing it later. And then for the manufacturer, you can enter something like Matt's Olive Oil Company. Whatever your brand name is that you've come up with. So manufacturer is the same thing as your brand name because it's your brand name that you've made up. For UPC, so we haven't discussed this yet. So UPC is the same thing as your barcode. We've decided to do something very, very cool for you. Is that below this video, you'll see that we tell you how you can get a free barcode. Now, typically, we would recommend that people go over to a site like cheap-upc-barcodes.com, also included below this video. That's how you'll get all future barcodes if you want, or you can go to whatever site you want. There's tons of sites that'll give you barcodes. But we've decided to go out and buy a bunch of barcodes for you all and are basically giving each member one free barcode just to save you the time, save you the hassle. It's just our gift to you, so you can get moving with this business model and get your product up on Amazon. But to get that one barcode for you, you need to make sure, because we don't want to just give it to everybody for no reason. We're happy to give it to each and every single member, but we want to make sure you've taken the necessary action steps. So the first action step means you have to have your Opportunity Finder badge, and the second step, you have to have your Found Supplier badge. The one in this module, Module 3. The other badge is from Module 2. Once you get those two badges, you'll be able to unlock your unique barcode. Now, we're buying as many barcodes as we need to sort of satisfy our members. So there may be a time we may be out of barcodes for a day, one business day, maybe 2 business days. Don't worry. you're getting your own free barcode. You'll get one barcode, not an unlimited number. All the future ones you'll just need to go buy from a different site. But the one barcode you get, we may run out, so we may need to resupply them, but don't worry, we've got you covered. But yeah, below this video, you'll learn how to unlock your barcode, and that's all you're going to do is plug that number in here. You don't need the graphic image of the barcode for anything at this point. So don't worry about that. Don't make that a big concern. Just copy and paste the number you get inside of here. That's literally it. So all you're going to do is go through this and fill out the required information, just the ones with the red asterisks. For example, on the offer tab, only thing that's required, condition, you're going to make sure that's selected to be new. Your price, this is going to be your selling price that you want to sell your product at. You can change this anytime you want. Just enter whatever it is that you want. So $29.99, I'm just making something up. Quantity, don't worry about this because you're going to be using FBA, but you do have to enter something. So enter something, you can enter something like 100. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to apply to anything because you're not going to be using that. That's only if you're selling your own inventory. So as you can see, nothing else here is required. For shipping method, you want to make sure that this is selected. I want Amazon to ship and provide customer service for my items that they sell. This is basically just saying that you want to use fulfillment by Amazon. So leave that selected, and then the quantity isn't even going to matter because it's going to be FBA. So then you're just going to go, you don't need to enter any images. Don't do anything with images right now. For description, keywords, and for more details, only enter what Amazon requires you to enter. So you're going to have to enter the UPC, and then this button, as soon as this button lights up, that means you've entered everything you need to. There may be, depending on the product, you'll see some other required fields. In all honesty, just make something up at this point. If you're not really sure about it, don't go start sending us support tickets and all this kind of stuff unless there's something that's a real deal breaker question. At this point, just make something up, and then if you still have questions after you've watched all the videos in the next module, module 4, then come back and ask us, or ask us on the coaching call. Either way, just enter whatever you need to do to create your listing. That's all you're doing right now. Click save and finish, and then you will have satisfied what you need to do for this video. So now we're at the final step of Module 3. You've found your supplier, you've added your listing using the quick setup method with the video just before this, so you have a listed product on Amazon, which we're going to completely optimize in Module 4. You've just added it there so you can do this step. So you're going to tell your supplier, once your supplier has the design and your supplier is ready to ship out your product. Some people it may take a little longer, some people it'll be fast. So we want to make sure you're able to do this as soon as the supplier is ready. Is when they're ready to ship out the product, most people, if they're not familiar with selling to a Amazon entrepreneur such as yourself, somebody tapping into opportunities on Amazon, they're pretty used to sending products to probably somebody's office or somebody's warehouse or somebody's even house or something like that. But in this case, they're going to be sending the products directly to Amazon's warehouses. So a lot of people these days are really familiar with this because Amazon's such a big place. A lot of suppliers already know how to do this. If they don't know how to do this, it's very, very simple. It's something that they can do even if they've never done it before, just by giving them some basic instructions, which will be provided below this video so that you can send them directly to the supplier. So here's how to prepare an FBA shipment so that you can have your supplier send your inventory directly to Amazon. So the purpose of this lesson and action step, mainly so the supplier can send the inventory directly to FBA. You don't need a third-party fulfillment company. You don't need to do any of your own fulfillment. You'll save a lot of hassle, time, and money and everything else using FBA. So you want your supplier to send your inventory directly to FBA. And it generates you 2 PDFs to email to your supplier. The first PDF you'll get is a packing slip. This goes inside of the box or boxes, depending on how much inventory you order, that your supplier is going to ship to Amazon. So the packing slip goes inside of there so that when Amazon's warehouse staff opens your box, they know exactly what's in the box and what's supposed to be inside the box. The second thing you're going to get is a shipping label. This is a shipping label that goes on the outside of the box. Now it's a UPS shipping label if you use Amazon shipping. So the supplier then hands the box off to UPS. But if you're using a supplier that doesn't ship using UPS or can't ship using UPS, you can either schedule a UPS pickup at their facility or just use whatever shipping method they do use, because you don't have to use UPS. And I'll show you how to do that, how to use any shipping method you want inside of the example you're about to see right now. So to send inventory to Amazon and prepare an FBA shipment, all you do is log into your Seller Central account, then go to Inventory, Manage FBA Inventory. You just click on that. I'm already on that screen though. Once you do that, you're just going to go find your product. If you're new to selling on Amazon, you're only going to have one product. All you're going to do is look for that product in here, click the checkbox next to it, and then click Send and Replenish Inventory. You can select other things from this drop down, but for now you're just going to leave Send and Replenish Inventory selected. So you checked your box, and then all you do is click Go. So then once you're on this screen, the only thing you need to change for now is how will you be packing your items for shipment. You're always going to want to select case packed items. That's really going to simplify things. So then whenever case packed items is selected, you notice that these two columns appeared. So units per case, this is basically the number of units in a box that you'll be shipping. You'll need to get this information from your supplier. So for example, if you ordered 25 units and you only ordered, that's all you ordered, but they can fit all 25 units in one box, you do 25 units per case, one case, as you can see, total units 25. This should equal the total number of units you're selling. On the other hand, if you ordered 50 units, but those 50 units have been split into two boxes, both containing 25 units, units per case, still 25, number of cases, 2. See, this is calculated. Your total number of units is 50. So I'm going to leave this as 1, but you'll need to get this information from your supplier to be able to prepare your FBA shipment, but you're just going to enter the number of units in a box and the number of boxes, and that's all you do, and then click Continue. Then on this screen may or may not pop up for you. Remember when I told you you're setting up your Amazon listing, you're just doing a quick setup. So whenever you do a quick setup, you didn't necessarily enter all the information you needed to enter to create the product. So Amazon may need you to enter something else. If you don't know the exact dimensions, I mean, you want to try to get them from the supplier, but as long as you're roughly right, it'll be fine. Trust me, it'll be fine. So enter whatever you think is the closest amount if you can't get the exact dimensions. So I'm just going to make up some numbers here because this is a fictitious product. So I'm just going to say 2 by 2, 2 by 5 by 2, units, inches, and click Save and Continue. So then on this screen, depending on how many units you're shipping and how Amazon wants these sent out, you may have multiple shipments here. That's no problem. All you're going to do is click Save and Continue and keep going. Now, if you only have one shipment, you do click Save and Continue, and you only have to prepare one shipment. If you have multiple shipments, you'll have to go through the steps I'm about to show you a couple times or just once, but one time per shipment here. So don't worry about this. All this means is that Amazon is splitting your inventory between multiple warehouses. I wouldn't mess around with it. Just let them split it however they want. If they want multiple shipments, that's perfectly fine. Just click Save and Continue. So then on this screen is where you would see multiple shipments again, each having their own Work on Shipment button. So then there's only one shipment here, so I'm only going to have to do this once. If there are multiple shipments, you're going to click Work on Shipment multiple times just to complete each FBA shipment. So just going to click Work on Shipment. And now it's time to basically get the FBA items you need. So this first screen just says the same information you already know, 25 units per case, number of cases 1. Then you're just going to click Save and Continue. Now this is something you don't need to worry about right now. What Amazon is saying here is they're going to charge a little bit of money to label your own items. What you can do, which I recommend you not worrying about right now just because it'll complicate things, is if you want to label this item yourself, what you can do is have your designer put an FBA barcode, basically just a little graphic image. You can have them put an FBA barcode on your actual product packaging or label. And what that'll do is that'll skip this label fee. But right now, honestly, do not mess around with that. Just pay Amazon's little fee. It's not a big deal, and this will just simplify things for right now. You can worry about doing that later on. I didn't do it for literally over a year or two in my business. I didn't start doing this. I just recently started doing this. Not a big concern. Yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but really it's going to save you some time right now just to avoid it. So just going to click Continue on this screen. So here's where you can decide whether or not you want to use UPS, Amazon's partnered carrier, or whatever carrier you want. Now, I recommend, if possible, using UPS, but if you're shipping products from overseas, for example, or some suppliers, they may or may not use UPS. So you want to ask your supplier if it's okay if you give them a prepaid UPS label. If not, then you'll need to use another carrier. So if you use UPS, all you do is select this and click Save and Continue. Now over here, small parcel delivery, just leave that selected. Don't mess with that. We're not going to be less than truckload. We're not going to be worrying about that right now, or ever, most likely. But either way, so if you're using UPS, if you just want to use Amazon's rates, which are extremely discounted, as you can see, deeply discounted ground shipping, that's fine. If you want to use a different carrier, all you do is select Other Carrier. You can use DHL, Federal Express, UPS, USPS, or Other. This basically just means that you're going to basically pay for your own tracking. Now, when you do that, I'm not going to walk through that example all the way right now because it's not that much different. The only difference when you do that is obviously you have to buy your own shipping outside of Amazon, but then Amazon is not, obviously, because they didn't prepare your shipping, they're not going to send you a full shipping label for you to put on the outside of the box. They're just going to give you another PDF, which is just a small little piece of paper that's going to go on the outside of your box, in addition to whatever shipping label you use with the other carrier. So on the outside of the box, there's going to be whatever carrier shipping label. For example, you may have a DHL shipping label you put on the outside of the box, and then put the other piece of paper, or have your suppliers obviously doing all this. They're going to just tape or stick the Amazon, basically it's a shipment tracker on the outside of your box in addition to that other one. Now, I'll send you below this video, you'll see instructions on what to send to your supplier so they can do all this automatically, but just letting you know what that is. Both shipments, you're going to get a packing slip that's going to go inside of each box, but if you're using the UPS method, the one that we're about to go through, you'll get a full shipping label to put on the outside of the box. But if you're using the other method, the other carrier method, then you'll obviously be purchasing your own shipping outside of Amazon, and you'll need to stick that other little shipping tracker thing on the outside of the box as well. So for this example, we're going to go with Amazon Partner Carrier. So right now on this screen, all you're doing is entering the number of packing slips. Now, I don't know why they give you multiple packing slips. I guess if you just want them, but really all you need is to take this number up here. If it's one case, for example, you may have, say maybe you ordered 5 cases and they're split between 2 different shipments. One shipment has 3 cases, one shipment has 2 cases. Either way, this would either say 2 cases or 3 cases, depending on what Amazon has put into this shipment. So all you're going to do is take this number. It's 1 case, so you're just going to enter 1 there. If this was 2, you'd enter 2 there, and then click Print Packing Slips. What this is going to do is this going to give you a PDF that you're going to want to save to your computer, and it's going to be one of the items you're going to email to the supplier. So all you do that, click Print Packing Slip. It's going to give you a PDF, save that to your computer, and get ready to send it to your supplier, but wait until we have the shipping label as well. Then you're going to click Continue. Now here's the next bit of information you need to get from your supplier. You want to ask them what is the weight of each box that they're preparing for your inventory. So if you have one box, as in this case, one box of 25 units, just want to ask them what the weight of that is. Because all you're going to need to do is plug that in here. So maybe it's 10 pounds or something like that. And then here, you don't ever have to enter the dimensions. They have it here for you. If you want to enter them, you can, but you don't need to. It's not required. Weight is required. You need to enter the weight of the shipment. So all you do is enter that here, and that's it. So you need to find that out from your supplier. What does each box weigh? They should be able to tell you this. Should be no problem because they have to know it themselves. So you just enter that weight here. If there's multiple boxes, you'll need to enter the weight of each box here. Most of the time, it's going to be the exact same number, but either way, you enter the weight there and click Get Cost Estimate. So then on this screen, basically what you're doing is you're allowing Amazon to purchase shipping for you because you're getting a real live UPS shipping label. So all you're going to do is click I authorize. This cost is going to be cheaper than you'd ever be able to get UPS on your own for, in this case, a 10-pound box. Either way, this is going to be cheaper than you'll ever see it. For example, I've seen 60-pound boxes be, less than 20 bucks. I mean, it's insane. You'll never be able to get those rates from UPS. This is why, if possible, you want to use Amazon's shipping partnered carrier, which is UPS, doing this method. Either way, you're just going to click I authorize Amazon to charge this shipping amount to my FBA account, and then, it's perfectly fine. Then you click accept charges and continue. So after Amazon authorizes them, all it does is give you a shipping cost summary, lets you know what you did, and then you just click continue again. So then on this screen, this is the only other thing you'll need to print out. This is your actual shipping label. So all you're going to do is print this, and it'll automatically give you enough copies to cover all of your cases. So in this case, it was only one case, but you may have multiple boxes. Either way, this will give you however many you need, and you just send this one file to the supplier in addition to however many packing slips you have. So then that'll really be it. You just print this, save this to your computer, and you're pretty much ready to send those items to your supplier. Then once that's done, you just click continue and complete shipment. And that's it. This shipment is ready to go. You'll send those 2 items to your supplier. You can use the instructions below this video to provide to your supplier so they know exactly how to do that. And that's really it. You can click mark as shipped if you want. Once you know your supplier shipped this, you can click mark as shipped. This doesn't really affect anything. It just makes it easier for you to track what's going on inside of your Seller Central account. So you can click that when it's done. Not a requirement, but you can, and that's really it. So then you email those 2 things to your supplier, and your supplier will then be able to ship out your products, your inventory directly to Amazon's warehouses, and then you'll know when your product is received, because if you go back to that same screen, inventory, then manage FBA inventory, you'll see that your inventory will be in stock and available for you. So that's it, and go ahead and do this right now. Create your first FBA shipment as soon as your supplier is ready. You obviously need to get those few pieces of data. Whenever your supplier is ready to ship out your product, you'll want to go ahead and do this.